There we are. We're live. Hello and welcome to the Enlightenment Exchange. If you haven't noticed, we've changed the name of our channel, and this makes a lot more sense to me. Divine Conversations on the Enlightenment Exchange. Hi, John. Hi, Melanie.
Hi.
How are you guys this week?
Hi.
Rocking.
Good.
Happy summer, everybody.
Yeah, happy
Everybody in the
summer.
Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, it's definitely found its way here, it seems like. Although I don't know, because I think I saw a couple of days this week that are back down in the 60s. So crazy stuff, right? Like, oh, well, what are you going to do? So, P.S. If you're watching and you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Because we would just like it if you did.
Right.
Be cool.
Good karma.
Good karma.
Yes. Anyway, so money. I'm excited today to talk about money. And so I'll put it on a banner too across the bottom of the screen. But this is what prompted me to want to talk about money, is I actually ran across this man, Ken Honda, in a group I was in with Dougal Frazier, and they are great friends. And so he, comes into Dougal's programs now and then and speaks, and he's a really interesting character, and how he came, he another one that went into the work that he's currently doing that was resisting. Like he was like, people don't need that. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, Happy Money by Ken Honda. Melanie, you're listening to it. John, have you picked it up yet?
No, it's on my list. I'm actually going through a different book that is very similar, and it's called the Little Money Bible by Stuart Wilde. I absolutely love it. I've got it both written and audio, and I'm listening to it for a second or third time. So, and a lot of the stuff you're saying, it's because first of all, it's very short, and secondly, it's really, really good, and a lot of the same themes as the Happy Money Bible, Happy Money book. I mean,
the Japanese art of making peace with your money. So I know that you're far enough in, Melanie, that you've gotten to the concept of happy versus unhappy money. This is the first thing that I'm interested in talking about, because as he was going through the list, which of course I had marked out for myself, and then did something just happen on the screen? I think I hit the space bar.
Yeah, I'm like,
it blipped
out.
So the idea is happy money versus unhappy money, and happy money attracts more money, and unhappy money doesn't, basically. And I mean, as I read it, I was like, oh wow, look at this. So happy money is money that you make by doing something that you love to do, is the really basic idea. Unhappy money is some of the forms of unhappy money are paying or receiving money as alimony after an ugly divorce. Never me. Receiving a salary from an employer for a job you don't like but can't bring yourself to leave. Been there, right?
Me too.
Yep, been there.
Unwillingly paying off credit cards with huge interest rates. Well, if I charge down the card, I don't have that one. Receiving money from someone who resents paying you. So in other words, like an unhappy customer who says, you don't deserve it, but I'll pay you anyway.
Right.
Or stealing money from anyone. And then there was another one referenced here, which is paying taxes. And so I may very well, and I don't know, I probably not, but I am one of the few people I know that I actually, when my tax return is finished and I owe, I'm like, great, that's great. Why? Because that means I made money.
Right.
And you didn't loan the government some of your money.
No, that is not it at all.
Oh, it is not? Oh, okay. All right.
That's not even it. That is not it at all. Not even a little bit. That's not the conversation about it.
All right.
It means I have net income on my money, from my business.
Got it.
And I owe taxes on it. that whole thing about loaning the government is a conversation we're not going to have on this show, but it's stupid. It's
Okay,
just
I agree
stupid.
with it. I think it's silly too, but my accountant brings it up every year. So
Yeah, well, accountants do, because
that's their
see,
job.
we don't want to talk about it. I
Okay.
will say this, and this is something I've explained to people, though. I will say it quickly, especially now. How much, if you get a $4,000 refund at the end of the year because you're saving money for a vacation, let's say, and you want this $4,000, or actually, I used to have somebody that had a big enough refund to pay their real estate taxes. They had their withholding set up so that they could pay their real estate taxes. And everybody's like, you shouldn't do that. You should just put the money in the bank. Where is the only place you can put money that you can't touch it?
Right.
Your withholding. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
CD, forget it. You can get it out.
Yeah.
No, there's nowhere you can put it that you can't touch it. Nowhere except for in the withholding. Now, if it was $6,000, $500 a month, and you put $500 a month into a savings account at pretty much any rate, how much are you going to earn?
Not much.
Pennies.
Yeah.
Now, if you put that money in an account and something inevitably comes up, and now you have to pay penalty and interest because you don't have the money to pay those real estate taxes.
Right.
Now what?
Bummer.
So stupid. It's an incorrect argument. Okay,
right.
And that's enough of that.
But we digress.
Back on to happy money.
Right.
Happy
I mean,
conversations.
and it's interesting that because one of the things that he said that I heard that he said when we were, in the group was be willing to pay people to do something they love to free you up to do something you love.
Mm-hmm.
A
Wow,
whole
that hits
cycle, right?
That hits like 3 hot spots, right? Number 1, happily paying. Number 2, getting stuff off your plate. And number 3, doing what you love and making sure you don't do what you don't love.
And enabling someone else to receive happy money.
Right.
Right.
Doing what they love.
Like,
check. I love that.
I mean, it's if everybody could see it that way.
Right.
If only everybody could see it that way. Because I mean, how many entrepreneurs do you know that, complain about having to pay like what is it? Processing fees.
Oh, like credit processing.
Yeah, like Square or PayPal or whatever. Yeah. But you know what? If there wasn't Square or PayPal, because I primarily do my work online,
right?
How are people going to pay me?
Right, you'd have to take cash
and mail it to you.
How's that? Right.
and I'm not good for that. I don't, I'm not good for that.
Been there, did that.
Right, and it, it just logistically it just doesn't make sense. But I believe that those companies that do that processing have expenses, and that's what those fees are meant to cover.
Right.
Now, do I also believe that banks and big corporations gouge consumers? Yeah. But what are you going to do
always
about
find
that?
a better rate or a better processor.
Exactly. So, I mean, I just, when it makes sense to pay people, I think we should.
And people don't like paying website hosting fees. They don't like paying, a Calendly fee or, anything like that.
Yeah. Subscriptions in general.
Right. You're doing something. I'm not saying to like throw your money away. Of course we have to be responsible, but at the same time, that is a tool that you're using to do something, to make money doing something that you love. So that should be happy money that you're spending to pay Calendly or Midjourney or ChatGPT, whoever you're paying.
AppSumo.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I'll tell you.
Yes, it is.
I'll tell you that, the plugins. I mean, I'm in a mastermind group, for the website that I have, and I can't tell you how many people. Oh, can you tell me how to find a scheduling plugin? But I want it to be free. Or can you tell me how to where I can get a Facebook events plugin? Oh, but I want it to be free.
But here's the thing, if you're putting that energy into everything, I want it to
agree
be
with
free.
you.
I want it to be free. I'm not going to pay for it. I'm not going to pay for it. You're putting that energy into your business. So what kind of a clients are you going to attract?
Exactly.
Clients
right.
who want it for free.
Right.
And that's the
That's
truth,
true.
right?
Yep. Mhm.
And so in his concept that, money is energy, I always have thought, actually, I don't remember who said it. I always like to give credit if I can remember who said it, but someone said, in conversations, the concept of fee, the word fee and the acronym fair energy exchange. Fee.
I love
So
that.
your fee
Yeah.
is a fair energy
Mhm.
exchange. And that's what he's saying is money is energy. So do you
Right.
want to be surrounded by happy energy or unhappy energy?
Can I say
Exactly.
something about increasing your fees a minute? I just heard this the other day, or no, this morning. It was in a blog I was reading, and the guy's an entrepreneur, business guru, and he says, a lawyer that charges $1,000 an hour is not 10 times smarter than the lawyer that charges $100 an hour. I was like,
Right.
that's
It's true.
He just knows his worth.
Right. Exactly. That is exactly the point of the post. I was
Well,
like,
right.
well-
I mean, there is that, and then he may have a professional office in the loop where,
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, but that's it. It's not, and I think that's a concept that we have out there that, that's out there that, oh, well, 10 times better.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, it kind of made me go, oh, that's a good point. And there are people that know as much as I do or less that are charging way more than I charge. And so his point is, be thinking in that direction. And there's a lot of mechanics involved, but.
No, right. I mean, even, like, for example, I do income taxes and I get paid well to do income taxes. But I remember when I first started doing it, I was like, oh, but it only takes this long. So how do you justify? And then I thought about it and I thought, no, you're not paying me for the time that we're sitting together. You're paying me for my experience and my education and my learning and my, the 25 years that I put into it. So
there's a funny anecdote about, I forgot if it was Andrew Carnegie or something like that, but one of these guys that had the huge steam engine power plants, and something wasn't working right. And this guy came in and spent 2 minutes with a hammer tapping a certain area of the steam engine and fixed it. And he gave him a bill for $10,000. And the guy was like, what? You just tapped for 2 minutes. And he says, no, this is 20 years of experience knowing exactly where to tap. That's what you're paying for.
Yes.
I had that,
right?
Yeah, I had that realization just this morning or yesterday because I was like, man, I am not going to do like things where I sit with the client and I fix it or whatever, because I can fix on a website something that would take them 2 days. I can fix it in 10 minutes, right?
Well,
and they're going to be like, well, that's not worth the money because I charge $166 an hour. That's not worth that. It took you 10 minutes. Yeah, but I have over 20 years of, business experience.
I don't even
years
indulge
of computer experience, Yeah,
I don't even indulge those conversations.
Yeah.
I just
well,
don't,
This was a conversation. This was a hypothetical conversation.
I was having in my head.
Got it.
I try not to indulge those conversations either.
Right. So I told myself, no, I'm being paid what I'm worth for my expertise, for the time that I put into this, for the learning that I've done, for the certifications, for all, that is what I'm
good
being
for
paid
you.
for, not the 10 minutes.
Right. Oh, yeah, right. Although, no, not although. I didn't mean that. But, John, you've heard this one before. And I'll tell you that because I used to have a retail tax preparation firm. It was one that originated in Virginia. Well, actually, there were two that originated in Virginia, but it was the second
one of the franchise ones.
It was one of the two franchise tax preparation firms that originated in Virginia. So anyway, when we got to be, first of all, never go to a tax preparation firm in April because you're going to pay 20% more than you would have if you went in March.
Yeah.
Like, that is just common practice. Like, that's across the board. That's how it works. But I would also get people who would call and want us to review their tax return before they send it in.
Mhm.
So I would say, absolutely, we'll do that. $500 an hour.
I mean, yeah.
But why did I do that? Did I expect anyone to pay me $500 an hour? No, I did not. I didn't want to do it. We didn't have what they wanted was just not worth my time. You know,
Right.
it was not worth the time. So it really is about, you know, managing. And I will say that I think everybody has issues with you know, charging what they're worth. And I remember that my tax preparers never wanted me to finish the return because I would look at the return and I would go at the fee and I would go, oh, and I would give the people a discount and they would go, why would you do that? Like, they were fine. The people were going to pay. They were happy. You know, we did well. Why would you do that? And, you know, obviously that was something within me that I needed to work on. So, you know, we can sit here and talk and discuss these things, but no, you know, people that are listening, we also suffer with these issues ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
And it's, you know, so how about this one? You know, there's a big conversation when it comes to money about the idea of doing, offering like a free or a complimentary, like a complimentary, what do you call it? Like discovery call.
Yep.
And some people say you should do it. It's great. You know, they even have it as a like automatic category, I think, on some of the schedulers. And then there's other people that say the only people that you're going to get on a free discovery call are people who want something for nothing. And that people who are actually going to pay are just going to go ahead and book. So what do you think about that?
I think it depends on the level of detail of the service. So for example, when I'm going to do something like a large, like deep dive into someone's website or someone's technical issues or especially programming, I always have a $500, you know, discovery project where I'm in getting all the details. Once I have all the details, then I have enough information to actually put together an accurate proposal. On the other hand, if I'm just doing a very simple thing and they want to get on a call and kind of describe their issue, that's a half-hour call. That's free.
Okay. I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
It ends up being actually it's a sales call.
If it's a sales call and they actually show up, then that's different. If you're not giving them any information and you're telling them what you could do for them, then that is a sales call, and that's not really that. Yeah, that's not really
okay. Good point. That's not really a discovery call. You're right about that.
I mean, I guess it is a discovery call, you know, but it's those people that want just those 15 or 20 minute shorty calls to see, you know, so you can parade yourself in front of them. And I just disagree with the free nature of that, right?
Yeah. I hate sales calls. Hate them, hate them, hate them. So I'll charge for them because for several reasons. Number one, I don't like sales calls mainly because after seeing all the free stuff that's out there on YouTube and all of that, and you've gotten to know me through the things that I put out and my website and all of that, if you still need to be convinced by talking to me, then I'm doing something wrong. And a 20-30 minute conversation with me isn't going to sell you. Like what I do through my social media outreach, through my marketing, through my website, that should be enough to be like, here, take my money. And so that's the first reason I don't like doing it. And then my time is money. Like if I did a day full of discovery calls and didn't get paid, what is it that I did? You know, I have nothing at the end of the day to show for it. My time is worth money.
I'm gonna take another view of that. When I get I have a pipeline, right? So I have initial conversation, confirm we're a good fit. I send a proposal, and then when we get on the call, the way that I know I've got someone that I can work with is I get to meet them and see them face to face And
Yeah.
that human connection, that vibe right there that is the sale. And so I love to get on those calls where I'm talking to the prospect, face to face, one on one, and just enjoying every minute of it. So those are extremely valuable for me in the process of how I work with people.
Now
Which
that
I
makes
get.
sense to me. No, that makes sense to me because we are not talking about a $200 thing or even a $500 service you're offering. These
Yeah.
people that you're working with, we're talking. These are large jobs that we're
Yes,
talking about,
right.
right?
Absolutely.
You're not doing that to sign up somebody for a tarot reading,
No,
Right. Right.
right?
Yep.
In which case, then I would say, cool, $50. And if you sign up with me or if you agree to do the work, then I'll take that $50 off.
I
you know
have
what I
done
mean?
that. I have done that.
Yeah.
Yep. I have done
Because
that.
still, your time is worth something.
Yep. By the time I'm ready to talk to someone one-on-one, I've already got the vibe.
You've
And I
already
already
got the
know
vibe. Yeah.
I know it's going to be worth my time.
Yeah.
Right.
For the most part, not all the time, but interesting.
you
Interesting thought.
can't. I mean, obviously. So now that you listeners, you've heard that there's kind of 3 different ways, and I think there's a different application for different types of work, right? So
Mhm.
now, if we move into move the conversation out of the tech work and into like the spiritual entrepreneurship work that some of us do, and some of our listeners do. Now address that question of a free discovery call. Right? It's a different thing, I think.
Yeah, it is. When I get a tarot reading, basically they book online. It shows up on my calendar. I show up and here we go.
Yeah.
And there's never, but it's a an $80 or $100 commitment, not thousands and thousands.
Right. And I think then that's an entirely different ball game. So now you have that, but now I do have a 30-minute discovery call on my website, and I do charge for it because that discovery call is for me to lay out the program for them, and then they get the limiting belief workbook from that, and they get my recommendations, and they get links to music or things like that that I think is relevant and helpful for them. So because let's face it, then you go into, well, the work is this much because it's a package for this or that. The person that's willing to pay you that $75 for that discovery call is more likely to go on and book, right?
Yep, I agree.
So,
I think when someone pays for a discovery call, they're committed already. And it's very rare that they would attend the discovery call and then realize, no, this isn't really for me, and then leave that money on the table.
Right, but if they did, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And now you've been paid for that half hour.
Yeah. And you've given them some value for it.
Given them some value, and not only that, but you've had the opportunity to talk to them before they commit to something larger.
Yep.
So that if you are a good fit, because when you're talking about like a coaching relationship, you're talking 4 weeks or four sessions or 8 sessions. And if you're not a good fit, and let's face it, not everybody's a good fit for me, not because there's anything wrong with them, but because I'm not really a good fit for them. Some people just can't handle the bull in a china shop that I am, which I'm okay with that.
I like you just the way you are, Angie.
Thank you. Let's see. So we have Coventina listening. She also talked about resolving past life issues. So I want to make sure that we get to that a little bit. But her comment is she had a complimentary call that went over, and she requested a way to pay them for that time. So she took on a complimentary call. See, now this is not everybody will do this. She signed up for a complimentary call that went over, and she
wanted to pay the person.
Yeah, I wonder if I know the person she wanted to pay. But anyway, and she never wants to feel or appear that she's taking advantage of someone. And see, that's another. But I don't know. I think there's less people that are like that than not, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But wouldn't it be lovely if we could just know that people felt that way?
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. This is something that came up in the Little Money Bible. So Stuart Wilde says, never refuse when someone wants to give you something, whether it's take you out for dinner or give you a free, gift. Or he says, if you refuse, you're telling the, or finding money on the ground. If you refuse, you're telling the universe, I don't need that, and I'm stopping the flow. But if you do accept the gift, accept the free offer, you're participating in the give and receive. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. Now, if you find money in a wallet that's got an ID in it, you should be returning it, right?
I agree.
But that it's interesting that you brought that up, because I made a change in this. It is some years ago already, but one of the things was, going out to lunch with somebody, and then that inevitable argument about who's going to pay, And so I always warn people, if you go out to eat with me and you try to pull that thing where, oh, I'll pay the check, and you don't really want to pay the check, you better have the money to pay the check, because I'm going to go, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to argue about it. Like, if you, very much like if I say I'm going to take the check, I don't expect you to feel any kind of way about it. I'm doing it because that's what I chose to do it, right? Like, I'm doing it freely of my own free will. So there's no need to argue, because I'm going to get my way anyway. Let's face it.
My conversation is usually, hey, we're going to go out again, right? We're friends. You take the next one, and that ends it right
and
there.
I have done that. I have done that. I've said, oh, I'll get it this time. You can get it next time. And then it happened, and it was fine. Right. So, but I think that part of this question is, and it stretches further than just money, is how difficult it is for us as humans in this world, the way we've grown up, with the mindsets that came up through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, even 90s, that we all have just like a super challenge of receiving.
Yeah. Yep.
I believe it's because, at least what I've discovered for myself, it's because I was told from the moment I came online that I'm worth nothing.
Absolutely.
Out of the womb, a sinner, bad, I can't do anything right, blah, 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 blah. And that's not just me. That's collectively. We all believe that. It's a collective wounding.
There's one of those religions out there that kind of has that as a basis.
That all of them. You're bad. You're not worth anything. And even if you're not brought up in a religious household, you still like TV and movies and everything, you're not worth anything unless you're beautiful and you're skinny and you're this and you're that. And we have such a self-loathing of ourselves collectively that we don't
People
think
talk
we're
about
worth that money
all the time when they go into therapy. Like, I've got this huge self-loathing problem, and I'm working it out with my therapist. And I'm like, that's really interesting. I did not grow up with that, somewhat, but I kind of said, no, I don't believe that.
Well, I mean, for me, it's the foundation of my cut 'em loose philosophy, right? Everybody knows about my cut 'em loose by now. People I haven't spoken to. There are people I haven't spoken to in ages, because you can only be told you're a piece of crap for so long before you either A, believe it, or B, cut them loose. I cut them loose. Now, does that mean I didn't have self-esteem issues? No, it doesn't. But at least I had a fighting chance, right? So now, and it's interesting, because I am a cut them loose. And when I say cut them loose, I don't hold grudges either. I don't.
Right. You let it go. You literally let it go.
I do. And sometimes things, sometimes things take a while to cycle through, but I never, you'll never hear me say, oh my God, my childhood sucked. I'm 65 years old.
Right.
But get over it, right? Like, oh, I'm not 65 yet, though. A few more months. Hold on a minute.
Can we
A few
celebrate?
more months now. Although I did get my Medicare card in the mail yesterday. But anyway, I don't have the bandwidth to carry that kind of energy around with me. So, but what's really interesting is that I also, if there are people that haven't reached out to speak with me for a while, there's something in my head that tells me, well, they're mad at me, or some thing like
I did
that.
something wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
The story in your head. Yeah.
So that's an interesting how the topic of money can take a turn into different things. But before we run out of time, I want to talk about this topic a little bit, because this is something I find a lot in my Akashic work, and that's resolving past life issues with money. Past life patterns of action and choice can really have an effect on on your relationship with money, and how you manifest it, and how you bring it into your life. But the other thing is that, when you're on the other side and you set yourself up to come here and you choose to experience the energy of abundance, right? If you choose to experience the energy of abundance in this physical go-around, and you don't pay attention to what's going on, you could very easily experience the energy of lack, which is the polarity of abundance. And so I believe, because the physical world is a world of polarity. This world doesn't exist without polarity. The third dimension doesn't exist without polarity.
Right.
You can't transcend polarity. You can't move beyond polarity. It is what it is. Good, bad, dark, light, abundance, lack. You just can't. So if you choose to come here and experience the energy of abundance, and you find yourself experiencing the energy of lack, then it's really important that you pay attention to that and look at your actions, look at the actions you're taking. Because I find it interesting, people, I want to be rich, I want to have money, I want to have all this money, and then they immediately take their paycheck and drive it to the boat. What you're doing is enforcing the energy of lack when you do that, right? Like there's no, and that, I think, because we've talked about this, trying to finance your life, or trying to finance something through gambling or winning the lottery. I just don't think you can do that, because it's too fine a line between abundance and lack. That teeters right on the edge of it, right? Like,
and there's a lot of fear energetically tied to that whole to gambling, right? Because a lot of people are going in there, oh my God, I gotta win this money, I gotta, and maybe needs a new pair of shoes.
And if you listen to, and I've heard this, I've heard this from more than one person. Everybody will tell you that if you go gambling with, they call it scared money, you're going to lose it.
You're going to lose, yeah.
They literally say that if you go in gambling with scared money, like the rent money, going to lose it. You're just going to lose it. So that speaks the idea that there's an energetic situation going on there too. People walk in like, I like to go gambling, but I go with this much money because I know I can lose that and it's no big deal. That's all I take. And when it's gone, it's gone. Generally, I walk out with about what I walked in with, which is
Did you have fun? That's all that matters, right?
Exactly.
I always find it fun when I go to a hotel that has a casino as part of it, and they give you a big stack of chips, for free. And without exception, when I'm done with it, it's like I got rid of like $50 worth of chips, and I won $5 worth of chips. Like, interesting. I won something, but
yeah, right. Well, to me, it's like because I like to play, like the Mega Millions and stuff. And I like scratch off tickets. Mostly I play with their money.
Right.
Just cash in the tickets and get new ones. But once in a while, I'll be like, well, I'm gonna do a 20, and and then if I walk by the machine and it's not working, I go, oh look, I won 20 today. So so
what a great attitude.
It is. So this is a really interesting story because she's sharing it in the comments. I have seen iterations of this in Akashic work that I've done. She was a slave to royalty, and in this life, she hated money and not into material things. And if I had one penny, and if I felt someone needed more than me, I would give it to them. This is the kind of energy that endures lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And this is the kind of energy that needs to be cleared consciously so that you can move forward into this life and be abundant.
That reminds me something that Stuart Wilde said. He says, when people are talking about the give and receive and the flow, they always think about money. But he says, try this. If you can give of your kindness and give of your time and give of your love, and that starts the cycle, then once that kindness and love and goodwill giving and receiving, the money giving and receiving will just start, will kind of follow that same cycle. But if you start with that goodwill, then it's easier to get into the money side of it.
That makes a lot of sense.
I love that. I'm like, wow, that's a really good way to look at it.
I love that, but I feel like there's a tendency to get stuck in that and then be like, and then when someone hands you a $500 check, oh, I can't take that. I can't take that. Why? This is the universe giving you abundance.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's almost like easy to get stuck in that goodwill thing. I love that. I love it. Give what you can. But then when the universe is starting to give you some abundance, take it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think you have to really look at that goodwill as priming the pump, right?
Yeah.
You're just priming the pump.
Precisely.
But what's interesting about the whole conversation is, and there is, everybody knows there's a phenomenon of people who win the lottery going broke within a year or two, right?
Yep.
And it's not anything to do, I don't think, with the nefarious lottery or the nature of that money, right? What I believe it is that those people that win, because it's a crapshoot, right? There's no way you can psychically predict the lottery numbers. If you could, that every psychic would be rich, right? And now I know there's some cases where there have been people that have won based on intuitive processes.
Yep.
But to win the big lotteries, they just don't do it. And if they could, then the states would stop doing it. Right.
Good point. Good point. Once you beat the system goes away.
So, but what's interesting to me about this is that people, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. I want to be a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. And nobody thinks about what is in alignment for themselves, right? And so maybe it's not in alignment for you to have $462 million.
Yeah,
why
you
would
might
that
not be ready for it?
Well, because and if you really think about it, everybody, I want to win the lottery so I can retire. Sorry, pal, you win $462 million. You're not retiring.
Nope, now you've changed.
There are financial advisors whose portfolios they manage are, 450, $500,000 or $500 million to $1 billion. So now you just won yourself a full-time job, or you won someone else a full-time job and gave them the opportunity to bleed you dry, right? There's just so there's that phenomenon of getting rid of the money as fast as it comes. And I know for a fact I had a version of this in a past life because I remember it happening. And I've always known every time I've gotten so many windfalls in my life, our whole lives, anytime things got to be some kind of point, some kind of windfall would come along. And I remember always thinking, the windfalls are going to dry up, and they haven't. They still haven't. So there's that part of it. But then, if they were sizable amounts, be like, well, let's get this and let's get this and let's get this. Let's get rid of this money because I don't know what it's freaking me out, to have this money. So I can completely understand and relate to this, even if you had a penny and you felt someone needed more. But part of that is also the self-esteem thing, right? Like, remember, you are worthy to have that abundance in your life. Why? So to me, if I'm looking at this as an Akashic reader, this is an interesting story in the Akashic record, but I want to know the story that feeds it. Why do you feel that way?
Yep. What's the backstory?
So if you were a slave, you were sold, but maybe you were, or maybe you weren't really sold as a slave. Maybe you were taken as a slave, and that really had an impact on what your idea of your value was. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not reading this person, right? I'm not. So, but I'd want to go further. If I'm doing a Akashic record reading for this person, this is one issue, but what are the other ones that feed into this? Because addressing this will help, but addressing them will get rid of the attachment mechanisms, right? So this issue doesn't come back around again. So it's really fascinating how many times you talk to people, because that is something a person absolutely cannot control, is what is in their Akashic record. What kind of past life? I remember there was a while where everything seemed to like go bad for me. And I was like, what the hell? Was I Lucretia Borgia or something in a past life? Like, and you know, it turned out that it was my surroundings and the people I was with and oppression, really. And that's enough of that story. So if you feel that way, how do you counter it?
Feel,
you know,
like you need to give everything away?
Yeah. And you know, and let's add to that. How do you counter that feeling without feeling like you have to stop paying for everything? You know what I mean? Like,
I would sign up for an Akashic reading with Angie.
Oh, there you go. That's not what I was going for, but okay.
But now that you mention it, it actually makes sense.
I know, right? Like, but so it's, you know, because it has an impact, especially those of us that are trying to create these businesses online. We need to spend money to make money. You just do.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, like, I have a website that pretty much brings me nothing. Why is that? Because I don't promote it. I don't put it out there. You know, like, you could build all the websites you want, but that doesn't mean anyone's going to show up.
Right.
You know, the only thing it brings me is when people have met me and they've gone looking for me, right? Like, it's, you know, and I'm sure there's Google and all those things. So how do you take that out of the conversation for a moment, and how do you address what's going on with yourself that will really help you to find and release these things? Like, do you create affirmations? Do you do mirror work? Do you
I think a big part of it is gratitude for what you already have.
Oh, there you go.
You know,
there you go.
It's just because that's a thank you to the universe, and gratitude just begets more abundance.
That's it, right? I mean, that's the give and take, isn't it?
Yeah.
Grateful for what's come your way, and then the universe is like, oh, look at gratitude.
Right.
All right, we'll send more.
Yeah. That's what it is for me, is gratitude. And then I will do healing when I'm in the Akashic records. If I find out what it is, there's just this healing method that I do with Archangel Shamuel, where he will give you a golden bubble, and through the Akashic record work, you figure out what those limiting beliefs are and what you've dealt with and all of that. And then you can put it in the bubble, and he sends it up to source to transmute it. And then you download better beliefs, affirmations, and things like that. And I'll write them down when I'm in the Akashic. I'll write them down.
Cool.
And then he puts those downloads into the golden bubble, and then you bring it into your heart and really absorb it. And then I just, keep saying them. I have just, affirmations written everywhere, and I wrote down Angie's that she told me the other day. Only good comes to me, and only good comes from me.
Oh,
that's
that's
favorite.
part of
Yep.
that's
That's
part
a
of
good
the
one.
prayer of intention.
Yeah. That doesn't really have anything to do with money, but I love
No,
it.
it does though. It does though, if you think about it.
Right. Good money, right. Money, good, happy money comes through me, comes to me, and happy money comes from me whenever I have to pay a bill or whatever, And
Right, because I mean, like if you look at bills, or like I started with the taxes,
yeah,
you pay the electric bill. You, instead of begrudging the money to the electric company, you're grateful for the
electricity.
light and the refrigerator and the cold drink and whatever.
I'm grateful
it might
I
be.
live in a country that has electricity.
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean,
And I'm grateful that I have the money to pay it.
Mhm.
There you go. So it's really.
I'm just laughing because our fridge failed last week and we just got a new one. So
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Mine is only a couple years old too. So
well, mine it didn't owe me anything. I was 15 years old.
yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean ours I think was 10, and who knows how long it was here before we. But when it failed well, spectacularly. Like it failed spectacularly. Like
sparks and smoke. Huh?
Well, water. No water.
Wow.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but it is what it is. I think the last thing I want to address is that years and years ago, because my story is pretty much out there, and I pretty much raised myself from the time I was 16. And I'm not saying I didn't get help from people, but most of the time it was grudging help, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can stay here, but
Right.
or oppressive or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think, and I hope that you both can, kind of just confirm this, is that when you start out, or if you're in a place where abundance is not readily available and huge, you don't have to be there forever. Right? It's
this too shall pass.
This too shall pass. And sometimes it's more about what you don't do than what you do, right? Like, so, being mindful of that sort of abundance and lack situation, not, just tossing everything out there, but if you just find a way to get yourself in alignment with what it is that you deserve and what you want, and remember your worth is inherent, every step you take forward, things can get easier, and things can get better, and things can, and if you get yourself swallowed up in negative energy and down in the muck and mire, things can also get worse. So,
and be open and surrender to how the abundance comes in. I think a lot of us are like, I have to win the lottery, or I have to get an inheritance, or I have to get a high paying job. And they're like, and then somebody offers to give them money, or some other abundance comes in and they don't acknowledge it and are grateful for it or receive it. Oh, I shouldn't have gotten this,
And that's in that is in one of Bradley Valentine's books about I think it's the Be Your Own Genie one.
Yeah. I think so too.
In the beginning, where he says, now and the actual experiment that he quotes comes from Pam Grout's book E Squared.
Yeah.
Where you do the 48-hour exercise and you just tell the universe to show me a sign that you are listening within 48 hours, basically, is the exercise. You could Google it if you wanted to go further. And then you need to be open to how that shows up. You might find a 20 in your pocket. Or you might find $5 on the floor, or somebody might call you up out of the blue and offer to take you to lunch. So exactly what you're saying, Mel, is like, be open to abundance when it comes to you in all of its forms.
Yep.
And be grateful for it.
And be grateful for it. Receive it and be grateful for it. gratitude is a big deal. And, you know, I remember, you remember the Oprah, you know, write a gratitude journal, your life will change. And I did, and it didn't. And then I understood after some time, I mean, it just didn't, because it got to be a chore. Right.
Yes. Yes.
And you were coming to it ungratefully.
Right. Basically, like, you know, like, I mean, it would sit and make my head hurt trying to figure out 3 things, you know, when in fact, the minute you wake up, I woke up, I can breathe, and there's a roof over my head. Like it's no brainer. Right. What's interesting to me is that once I figured out that you need to connect to the energy of what you're grateful for. So when you're looking at, you know, oh, someone took me out to lunch. And if you want to offer gratitude for that, not only to them, but to the universe for putting that all together in your, you sit and you think, oh, how did it feel while I was there? You know, how did the food taste, and be grateful for that. Unless, you know, you went to whatever,
a horrible place.
Because we have a lot of them around here, horrible places, but I've been pretty lucky lately. So, but the idea is that you're connecting to the energy of you know, of those things that you're grateful for. And then that is what adjusts your physical vibration. And
I do that every night. I just sit there and I'm like, one thing in my day that I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's a horrible day, and all that I can be grateful for is the cup of coffee I had in the morning.
There you go. Or that you
other times it's that I, you know, it was a beautiful day, and I sat on my deck, and I put myself back there, and I'm like, okay, how was it sitting on my deck? There was a beautiful breeze. I heard the birds. It was, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm so grateful. And then I release it again. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, I was grateful for it. Now I'm going to let it go. And now I'm going to just move on and open myself up for whatever comes in. With no judgment. Or expectation. I think that's one of my big problems is I expect I'm going to have this many clients. I'm going to do this. I'm going to this. I mean, that's the Capricorn in me. Like everything's got to be planned out. And it's really been a lesson for me it's really been an opportunity for growth, to learn to just let go of that and be open to all abundance,
flow,
even if it's
and detachment.
Not one exactly.
Flow. I mean,
even
that's
if it doesn't look the way I expected.
No, because sometimes it doesn't look like how what you expected. It's better.
It's better, right? Sometimes we get in our own way.
Yep.
Imagine that.
It's you know, and so parting thoughts, because naturally we went over again. You know, you get an extra person now. We're going to go over. That's just how it is.
Right. This is now an hour and a half show, and we just end early.
There you go. So parting thoughts. Here's my parting thought. When it comes to abundance and what you want, it's really important to be clear on what that is. Right? Create a clear picture of what it is that you want. Like for example, you're talking about clients. Create a very clear picture of that client. You know, I mean, I want somebody who's, you know, fun for me to work with, willing to do the work, willing to pay me what I'm worth, and open to receiving whatever it is that they need. So no, I not that people with victim energy don't deserve help, but it's not, I'm not that person. Right. You've heard that before. So make a really clear picture of what you want. I mean, if you're trying to manifest a new home, make a picture of it. See, you know, like create a really clear picture of it and then align to it. So that's my parting thought, my parting wisdom. And then just
that's good.
Add to it.
Yep. It's the visualize part of the visualize, align,
surrender. Yeah. Visualize and then align to it. And then literally just let go and surrender to however it comes in. Because it's guaranteed 9 times out of 10, not going to show up the way you expect it to show up. It's just not. So, it's going to be better.
I mean, right. And I guess the other thing is, because I've heard so many people say, well, I just lower my expectations. So I don't get disappointed. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Like,
I do
no,
too.
raise your expectations, right? Expect that it to raise up and meet you. So,
Yep.
John, I would say, I would ask you when it comes to this kind of thing, because I know a lot of people that listen have cards, draw cards, read cards. What is the question that you ask when you draw a daily card for this kind of?
Oh, my questions are usually around something like, what kind of abundance can I look forward to today, or maybe this week?
Amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
Amazing. Because
like
it helps you look in the right place. Helps you pay attention.
Yep.
Wow. That was amazing. Okay. So
Yeah.
we are through for today. Thank you so much. We had people who joined us and stuck with us.
Yep.
We really
conversation today.
appreciate those of you that listen and enjoy. So again, if you've gotten this far and you enjoyed us and you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button so we maybe we can get to 100. I don't know, by July or something.
July.
Look at the way we're putting it
2030.
out there. We will we want to hit 100 subscribers by the end of July. We're going to put it out there in that way. That way we don't divert it when it starts to come our way. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for your input. We really, really appreciate you. And Melanie, John, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking this ride with me.
Likewise, Angie.
This has been, I can't believe that we're like a year and a half now, John.
We're rocking it. Right.
I know.
This is part of my life.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too. So,
Truly
all
is.
right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week on the next live stream.